I'm looking at the spring edition of Trends Journal. People can get that at trendsjournal.com. The cover says, "War or Peace? We, the people, should decide." You have a lot to say about the Iraq War, how we got into that 11 years on, and look at what's happening now. We see this all folding up, don't we?
David, a trend alert. February 18th, 2003, weeks before the war, Gannett News had asked me to do a op-ed piece, and then we expanded it for the subscribers to the Trends Journal. Here's what we said. While the victory on the battlefield may be swift considering the massive military power of the United States, the war against Iraq will be eventually lost. And we said it would evolve into a civil war, unrelenting suicide attacks against coalition forces, and people vowing to fight down to the last man to repel invaders. It keeps going on. Trend alert. March 28th, 2005, Iraq. Trend update. Real war, fake democracy. What's next? Top trends 2005. Doing the Iraq drag. Washington's promise and the Pentagon's prophecy that this year's elections will establish democracy and facilitate U.S. troop reductions are as inaccurate as claims made last year by Vice President Dick Cheney that the Iraq War is behind us, and Major General Raymond Odierno's predictions that, quote, we have 6 to 12 months left of this insurgency.
Yeah.
On and on and on. We've been documenting it from before the war happened, saying exactly what would happen. And what does the prostitute media do? They keep bringing back all of the losers as this thing is going down the toilet to ask them what they should do next and what they see ahead.
Well, you know, I think the public looks at this and says, look at this. It was a failed invasion. It was a failed counterinsurgency. The whole point is to keep war continually going, isn't it? They knew they weren't going to win this counterinsurgency.
Again, yes, and it goes back to 9/11.
Yes.
You know, the new Trends Journal's coming out in a couple of weeks, and we really broke this down. And go back just a few weeks before the 9/11, Bush's popularity in the polls was down to 51%. This is a newly elected president. He's only in office several months. They were slashing the defense budget. Then you go listen to his speech to the nation at the House of Representatives, and how everyone stood up and applauded when they announced they were going to increase the military budget by $40 billion overnight. And this, by the way, is on the heels of the dot-com crash that happened in March of 2000. And the United States is going into the toilet in a recession. So when you start putting the pieces together, it all goes back to Eisenhower.
Yeah.
That's right, the military-industrial complex taking over the nation. And now, very interesting, today's papers, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, big articles. And you know who they're by? Brought to you by the National Association of Manufacturers and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. America's interests are at stake in Russia and Ukraine.
There we go. We've got to have a war. Yeah.
No, they're calling for peace. They're calling for prosperity. They're calling for no sanctions. They can see the handwriting on the wall.
Oh, really?
They know that the United States is in no position for more war. And that's what we're writing about. This is, again, the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
and the
I'm surprised.
Association of Manufacturers.
That is news. That's like a complete 180 to turn around because, you know, we look at, as you pointed out, 9/11, defense budget is going down. They say we don't have anybody to fight, so they've got to create a new enemy, and they create a new bureaucracy, Homeland Security, where they expand the military-industrial complex, not just to fight wars abroad, but to bring it home and to create a police state industrial complex. You know, it was Madison who said that if tyranny ever comes to these lands, it'll be in the name of fighting a foreign enemy. Well, we've got that now. That same organization, Homeland Security, we're just talking about collapsing the borders and then harassing people and charging them as to grope them, to take away their freedom and their dignity at the airport. So I'm really surprised to see the Chamber of Commerce and Manufacturers saying we don't want to have a nuclear war. I thought these guys would be all for it. That's good news.
Again, they know numbers,
yeah.
And the numbers are that the economy. Again, you look at the markets as we're talking. You know, they're down. Why? Oh, the other thing, the first quarter was terrible. Now they're downgrading the second quarter. Everybody that's real knows what's going on here. We're wasting over $1 trillion in total expenses on the so-called military, industrial, and cyber complex. And then you're looking again back at the real numbers here. The economy is going down. The people in the know that we cannot afford more war. And that's what this Trends Journal is. Again, bring on peace, bring on prosperity. And what I'm launching, and we're going to be doing it in the following months, is an Occupy Peace movement. And anybody that wants to sign up, they could go to occupypeace.us. This is only for America. You want to do it in your country, you do it. And I'm up here in Colonial Kingston, New York. The 1777 Senate building, the oldest public building in the United States, is literally a stone's throw away from me. Every one of the founding fathers, no foreign entanglements. And that's what Occupy Peace is based on. No foreign entanglements. I see these guys on television, Cheney and Graham and this one and that one. What we have to do here, what we have to do there. You want to go in a foreign country? Send yourself, send your wife, send your kids. Keep me out of your psycho trip. All you do is create one disaster after another. So OccupyPeace.us is no foreign entanglements. Bring home all the troops, all the money, and rebuild America. Seal the borders tight. Bring home no more coming over. We can't take care of our own. After the Great Depression, when it hit, immigration, no immigration, until we can rebuild the country and help feed our own people and put them back to work. When we do that, I'm all in favor of opening the borders. Now, seal them tight. And by the way, I've been writing about this. Go back to Trend Tracking 1989. Go back to Trends 2000, Warner Books 1997. What a big shit was with the H-1B visas, with the immigration policy. They're destroying the nation. They're bringing in cheap labor, undercut our labor, and, oh, we don't have any smart people in this country. We got to bring them from India and China. We're just a bunch of imbeciles.
Yeah, that's right.
Even the imbeciles, you can't get a lousy job. You're talking about automation of automobiles. Drive them on their own. You don't need a driver. Check this out. The news thing is, when you go order some crappy corporate food, all you have to do, you don't need a waiter or a waitress. All you need to do is just put it into your smartphone and it'll get delivered to you. So all those lousy jobs, when you look at the job numbers in, quote, the hospitality sector, they're even going to do away with them.
Oh, yeah. It's not just manufacturing. It's going to be service. It's going to be transportation. It's going to be automation everywhere. And that's going to accelerate the concentration of wealth into the hands of the few. It's going to increase the unemployment. And yet we're told by, again, it's U.S. Chamber of Commerce and others are pushing for this uncontrolled immigration because they're telling us that we need a workforce. It was just last week that I've been talking about this last couple of days. David Petraeus was at the Thatcher Conference on Liberty, and he answered the question, after America, what's next? And he said, that's easy. North America. He starts talking about NAFTA. He talks about how right now we're going to go from a situation where we've got 100 people on a assembly line down to where we've got 100 robots and 2 people looking at them. So how do we deal with that? But he's excited about this demographic surge. So you know that it's something.
Listen to this stuff? Why would anybody listen to him?
Yeah.
Read his words. We have him in the Trends Journal. Everything that he ever said came to nothing. You remember the troop surge in Afghanistan?
Right.
Oh, brilliant, man. Oh, yeah, great job in Mosul. Hey, how about Fallujah? Yeah, I'll Fallujah you. They're all losers, and all they do, the prostitute media, they keep recycling the same guys and women over and over again that have done nothing to destroy this country. Oh, and then you look at little David. You know, David married the girl whose father was running West Point. That's right. Another guy that got his ticket punched. Punching his way up and brown-nosing his way up the line. That's how these guys get there. I began my career, I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate at 23. The worst job I ever had. Or I'd be talking to my buddy, he'd leave me to follow the senator, pull his chair, and help him sit down. He'd come back, I'd say, hey, man, what's the matter? Cat can't sit down by himself? Needs some help? All they are suck-ups. They're brown-nosers. They don't have any courage. They don't have any dignity. You know what they have? They have a bad attitude and a lot of arrogance to tell us how we should live our lives. How could anybody allow what's going on in this country to keep going on? That's why I become emotional when I talk about what this nation used to be and how a bunch of little boys and girls have destroyed it, and there's no courage out there among the people to say, I had enough. And that's why we're launching Occupy Peace. You want to go to war? You're a traitor against Washington. You're a traitor against the Founding Fathers, and I don't need some guy from Harvard, Princeton, or Yale to tell me that Washington, a real man, that was a commander-in-chief, not these little boys that couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Let them go to Washington. Let them go to Franklin and Adams and Madison and tell them they were all full of crap. No, you should go fight wars.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Labe is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. Celebrate the spirit of 1776 with the George Washington brass belt buckle or this incredibly sharp-looking 1776 hat. Badass. And be sure to check out the new arrivals at InfoWars Life, where you can prepare your body to perform at peak levels with Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine, Super Male Vitality, and Fluoride Shield. And wake up, America. Immune Support Blend is the healthy choice for the gourmet coffee lover. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.